Okay, hello everyone. So last time we talked about how we can complete the square, and today we'll actually see how we can actually use that skill to solve quadratic equations. Okay, so once again, this is going to be our fourth method of solving quadratics. We've seen how we can solve by graphing, by factoring, and by undoing. Okay, so let's go ahead and first recall from last time of how we can complete the square. So we have x squared minus 16x plus blank, and then we want to write that in this form where it's something square. Okay, that's why it's called complete the square. And again, the idea is right now we have the variable in two places, x squared and the 16x, but we only want to put it into one place so that when we're doing solving, we can actually use solving by undoing. Okay, so how can we do that? In other words, what number do we put on the line? Well, as we saw last time, we're going to use our b value divided by 2 and then squared. Okay, so in this case, it's negative 16 over 2. That's negative 8, and then squared is positive 64. Okay, so we're going to do a positive 64 here. And why do we do that? Well, now we can actually factor the left-hand side, right? We need two numbers that add up to negative 16 and multiply to 64. So that's going to be minus 8 and minus 8. And then we can actually write that as x minus a squared. Okay, we've completed a square. All right, let's try one more. M squared plus 26m. Okay, again, you want to take your b value. B is 26 divided by 2 is 13, and then squared. And then this you can use a calculator for, but I think it's going to be 169. So plus 169 goes on the line. And then we want two numbers that add up to 26 and multiply to 169. And that's going to be plus 13 and plus 13. Once again, we should get the two same factors, which we can then write as a squared and plus 13 squared. Okay, so as we saw at the end of last time, we can actually use this to help us solve some quadratics. Okay, and today we'll just look at a few more examples just to kind of get the hang of this. Okay, but the idea is, solve by completing the square, the idea is to move constant. Constant is just a fancier mathematical term for the number. So just a number without a variable. Move the constant to the other side. Okay, so here's what I mean. P squared minus 18p minus 18 equals 0. Well, first of all, if I can factor this guy, I would do solve by factoring, because factoring is usually quicker than completing the square. Okay, so if I try to do this by factoring, I will have to have two numbers that add to negative 18 and multiply to negative 18. Okay, and after a few seconds of thinking about all the factors, in this case, we're going to see that's not possible. Okay, so factoring is a no-go. So then let's do complete the square, and the idea is to move the constant to the other side. Okay, where's my constant? My constant is over here. That's the minus 18. So I'm going to move that to the other side. So then I'm going to have p squared minus 18p is equal to 18. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the square. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this p squared minus 18p, and then I'm going to leave some room here is equal to 18. Okay, so the idea is I'm going to add a number to both sides so that I can complete the square. Okay, so on the left-hand side, we have p squared minus 18p. So let's go ahead and do what we did up top with the warm-up. Let's go ahead and take your b value divided by 2 and squared. So negative 18 over 2 is negative 9. Squared is 81. So let's go ahead and add 81 to the left-hand side, but we can't just randomly add 81 to one side. Whatever we do, we have to do to both sides. So let's do it to the right-hand side as well. And then what I get is, well, now on the left-hand side, I can factor this, right? This is actually p minus 9 times p minus 9. And that's going to be 99 if I add up 18 and 81. But this is p minus 9 squared. Okay, we've completed the square. So then now we can solve by undoing. Okay, so solve by undoing, which we've spent a few days of doing. So now we can just go ahead and take the square root of both sides. So we have p minus 9 is equal to, and then don't forget your plus or minus, square root of 99. And now if we could simplify this radical, we would. And in this case, I think we can. So the largest perfect square that can go in here is 9. That's root 9 times root 11, or 3 root 11. So then I get p minus 9 is equal to plus or minus 3 root 11 after we simplify. And then add 9 to both sides. I get p is equal to 9 plus or minus 3 root 11. Okay, so that's it. Solving by completing the square. And then let's go ahead and try one more example. And then if you like, you can actually pause the video right now and give this a try yourself. And then when you're ready, come back and see how well you did. Okay, so hopefully you've tried it. Now let's go ahead and take a look. So again, if I'm doing it by complete the square, I want to move the constant to the other side. Okay, so right now I've got the x's on both sides as well. I've got the minus 12x and minus 6x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the variables to one side. So I'll move that to the left first. So I got x squared minus 18x plus 40 equals negative 14. And then the goal is to move the constant to the other side. So let's go ahead and subtract 40 on both sides. Okay, x squared minus 18x equals negative 54. Okay, again, the idea is to move the constant to the other side and then move the variables to one side. And now we're ready to complete the square. Let me rewrite this. And then I'm going to leave some space. Is equal to negative 54. And then I'm going to leave some space here as well. And then let's see. So what should we add? Well, complete the square. Let's do negative 18 over 2 squared. That's negative 9 squared, or 81. So here I'm going to add 81 to both sides, just like what I did last time. So once again, let's go ahead and factor the left-hand side. This is going to turn into x minus 9 times x minus 9, because that's squared. And then that's 27, it looks like, negative 54 plus 81. And then just like what I did before, we're solving by undoing. Square root both sides. This is equal to plus or minus, don't forget that, root 27. And again, whenever you can simplify, please do. 9 is the biggest perfect square, and then that's going to be 3 root 3. So then I get x minus 9 is equal to plus or minus 3 root 3. And then to get x by itself, we need to add 9 to both sides. Okay, and there it is. X is equal to 9 plus or minus 3 root 3. Okay, so that is it in terms of our fourth method of solving quadratics, which is completing the square. And once again, you want to always move the constant to the other side and then have the variables on one side. Okay, so next time we're actually going to talk about the very last method that we're going to see of solving quadratic equations. That's going to be called the quadratic formula. There's actually a nice little formula that's going to be pretty complicated, but the formula will work every single time. Okay, so we'll see that next time, and then that was going to be the end of our last unit. Okay, so as always, make sure you're taking notes, and please do let me know if you have any questions, and then complete the assignment for next time. And other than that, have a great rest of your day.